Thanks for joining me again as we look back at another great classic film. This film noir is notable for being one of the first in its genre, featuring one of the most iconic of detectives and the writing of a pulp fiction icon. Its star was appearing in his first serious film following a long string of musicals, and its black and white cinematography is captivating. It is Murder My Sweet from 1944. RKO picked up the rights to Raymond Chandler's 1940 novel Farewell My Lovely for $2,000 and first adapted the story for the screen in 1942's The Falcon Takes Over, the third in the Falcon series. In 1944, the story was more faithfully adapted into Murder My Sweet, marking the first screen appearance of iconic detective Philip Marlowe. Former reporter and publicist John Paxton adapted the screenplay closely following Chandler's novel, though some elements such as Marriott's homosexuality, drug dealing to Los Angeles elites, a plot thread involving a fleet of gambling boats off the LA coast, and a scene in an exclusively African-American club were dropped, either because of the production code, so as not to upset real-life mobsters, or to avoid issues with distribution in the American South. Another change from the book was the character of Anne Grail. Originally the daughter of an honest cop, the character became the stepdaughter of the female protagonist to better highlight the difference between the two women. RKO were on the verge of bankruptcy when this film was being developed, but had signed ageing matinee idol Dick Powell to make a series of musicals under the proviso that he could play a straight dramatic role first, so he was cast as Philip Marlowe. This horrified director Edward Dmytryk, who along with producer Adrian Scott were making their first move up from B Pictures. Claire Trevor, who had been appearing in westerns where she had fourth or fifth billing, was cast as femme fatale Helen Grail, a role intended to showcase her acting talent. Anne Shirley was cast as Helen's stepdaughter Anne Grail in what turned out to be her last screen role at the age of just 26. And former pro wrestler turned actor Mike Mazurki, who caught Dmytryk's eye in a studio commissary, successfully auditioned for the role of Moose Malloy. The production began on May 8, 1944 and ran for 44 days. The schedule was so hectic that on the first day of shooting Claire Trevor was sewn into her dress while the first scene was being set up and had to do her own makeup. During breaks between scenes, Dick Powell entertained the cast by parodying himself. Mike Mazurki and Dick Powell were about the same height. For many scenes, Powell had to stand in a trench so that it appeared Mazurki was towering over him, and night location shooting took place in the Hollywood Hills. Shooting the film as an extended flashback allowed them to retain the book's first-person narrative style and preserve much of Chandler's famous dialogue. The film was first screened in December of 1944 with the title Farewell My Lovely, but audiences initially stayed away, thinking that this was yet another Dick Powell musical. After the studio changed the title to Murder My Sweet, box office receipts picked up considerably, with the film going on to make $597,000 in profit, the equivalent of over $8 million today. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times noted the excellence of the supporting cast, particularly Mike Mazurki, who played brutish Moose Malloy, Otto Kruger as the quack psychologist and blackmailer, Anne Shirley as an innocent amongst the wolf pack, and Don Douglas as the police lieutenant. Online critic Glenn Erickson says Murder My Sweet remains the purest version of Chandler on film. Alison Dalzell of the Edinburgh University Film Society notes, of all the adaptations of Chandler's novels, this film comes as close as any to matching their stylish first-person narrative. Of all the mystery and neo-noir films made around the world, Murder My Sweet is what they all aspire to be. Variety called Murder My Sweet a taut thriller that is as smart as it is gripping. Dick Powell is potent and convincing as the hard-boiled copper. Claire Trevor is dramatic as the predatory femme, and Anne Shirley is a sharp contrast as the soft kid caught in the crossfire. After the film's success and given the quality of Powell's performance, the planned Powell musicals were scrapped and he was cast in other tough guy roles and in action films. Chandler, who had at first objected to casting Powell, was impressed by his performance, but after seeing Humphrey Bogart in The Big Sleep, felt Bogart was the better Marlowe. Murder My Sweet won 4 1946 Edgar Awards from the Mystery Writers of America for Best Motion Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Author and Best Actor. It spawned radio dramatisations on Lux Radio Theatre in 1945, Hollywood Startime in 1948, as well as radio series Philip Marlowe in 1947, and The Adventures of Philip Marlowe that ran from 48 to 51. It is one of the 1001 movies you must see before you die, and is among the American Film Institute's 400 most heart-pounding American movies. In 1975, it was remade as Farewell My Lovely, starring Robert Mitchum as Marlowe, but it's not a shade on the original. So lots of good reasons to watch this film. Despite being one of the first film noirs, it's also one of the best. Great performances from the leads and all the supporting cast create an atmosphere enhanced by some compelling Chandler dialogue. Beautifully shot in black and white, it takes you on a wild ride. So what I suggest you do is that you go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, definitely click on and watch it. And as always, see what you think. We'd love you to come back, share your thoughts about the film, and let us know if you'd recommend it for others as well. And then we're back in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. See you next time.